Thomas, Bianca, Ed, thank you so much for being here.
Great, thank you.
Here. So let's start on this particular subject. So when I think about living alongside machines, I think of autonomous cars. What is it about autonomous cars you think that gives way to kind of anxiety?
Personally, for me, while I think that there is a possibility, I think it is somewhat just so hard to grasp of this loss of control of going in a vehicle 60 miles an hour, and you have to trust that this machine and this technology will not fail. And personally for me, I don't know about you gentlemen, I'm not there yet. I'm not there that I can say for sure this is going to be safe.
My wife, my son, my mother-in-law, and I were driving together, and we started talking about autonomous vehicles. My mother-in-law, she's older than me. No, she's in her 70s, so she's that generation. My wife and I'm 50, right? And my son is 18. He has no problem whatsoever with autonomous vehicles. My wife and I are with you, I'm not sure, okay. Even though rationally I know there will be fewer accidents. Humans are not as good as the self-driving cars are, okay? My mother-in-law, absolutely not. And I pointed, and my son couldn't understand why she was absolutely not, and I'm with my wife somewhat there. But it's, if you think about it, it's the difference in the generational experience with technology. My mother-in-law lived through technology killing people. You know, the early parts of the space race and all of those things. People were blown up. And I experienced the Challenger disaster, all right? My son has not seen technology really kill anybody, except for maybe this recent Uber accident. But that's their first experience with technology going awry that way.
This app needed a fix.
Right, it's exactly. So they don't understand that technology can let you down that dramatically. They haven't seen that younger generation. And I think it really did explain our different perceptions of autonomous vehicles.
Yeah, I agree with both of your perspectives. I think we have to take it, let's say, one notch down in terms of the complexity to actually appreciate the complexity fully. I think it's an emotional stance at this point. A bit like fear, two kinds of fear really. There's one fear is if you are about to seduce a partner, or let's say I'm a guy, so I know the first time I met my wife, maybe I get sweaty hands or something. Didn't really happen because I happen to know her, but you know, it would have happened. Okay. But I mean, that's another point.
And he's a great driver, actually, too.
Yeah. Well, that's another point. I'm half Italian, you know, so good or bad, I don't know. But basically, you have this sort of primordial fear of not achieving something, and then there's the fear of falling, where you're at the precipice. And I think we have two kinds of, some of them are generational dynamics, but you have a lot of people who have a fear of the extinction of humans, the fear of things that we can't control, let's say, and then you have other people who are just uncomfortable. And so if we can address those separately, I think we'll achieve more results. And I think we need to answer those questions differently. So just to go into an example, with regards to mass extinction or the Terminator scenario with Skynet, it so happens that the other day I was at SpaceX and they have a Cyberdyne computer, which is their server farm. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but basically they have a they're taking pop culture to the next level, and definitely they're trying to address the eventual scenario where there's an asteroid coming and we need to plan B, and other things that they're doing too. But in a way, they're saying it's okay if some people die because we'll prevent the extinction of humanity. So that's one way to address that fear. And the second one is much more instrumental in the societal design. It's basically a service design question. What is the threshold or the probability of a failure that you're willing to accept? And we've seen this in the airline industry, and it's going to apply to automated vehicles and many other industries. So I think that we need to segregate those two, and right now, because they're mixed, instead of having fear that gets notched down a bit, it keeps amplifying and becomes the wrong conversation.
Right, but you've touched on the fear of extinction of humanity question, which is, Elon Musk thinks that, AI is more dangerous than nuclear weapons, and there's this part of many people that are worried about machines deciding that humans are irrelevant and they will then take over. So many movies are out there about that, and Turing, part of his treatise on artificial intelligence, he talks about if we make a sufficiently complex machine, would God ensoul it? And it's an interesting question, right? Mm-hmm. It's saying, okay, but is our fear coming from a thought that machines don't have souls and some kind of primordial understanding on our part that what controls us and allows us to build civilization and not kill one another rampantly because we annoy one another at times or what have you, is the fact that we have a soul. So that perception that a machine does not have one feeds that fear of machines deciding we are not necessary.
Well, and it's interesting too because
that assumes we have a soul. No, I'm just kidding.
we have deep souls and we have thoughtful discussions, and we're grateful to talk about these things. But think about many years ago. For example, we have people working cameras right now here in this studio. But a lot of times when you go into a studio, things are automated. So there's no more jobs. So there's an economic impact as well when we think about machines and we think about what's the future going to look like and who's here, who's populating it. We used to have checkouts, and now it's you do it yourself. So we've seen slowly how these jobs and functions, machines can do them. So it's not a question of, can a machine do this? It is that question about what will our existence, what's left for us, and what piece of it do we want to retain, and what is the end and what is the intention here? Is it to create something that's more sophisticated and better than what we have now as the human race, or are we simply trying to mask things that we don't want to deal with? Like human emotion and connectivity. I mean, it's great we have social media, but I see the problem where people don't even want to speak on the phone anymore. I mean, I don't want to text everybody all the time. I would like someone to pick up the phone and call me,